All right. So we're going to rank our top 5 Batman. There are no rules really. It can be animated or live action. You pick your own favorite Batman. We're gonna do top 5s though, and I like starting here because I want to talk about different versions of Bruce Wayne, because my ranking includes Batman and Bruce Wayne. You have to be good at both, I feel like, to be at the top of the list for me. But I want to start with Paul. Paul, what's your ranking? Because I feel like I've got a controversial one. I'm gonna go last.
Yeah. So, gosh, So I would probably say, well, 5 is hard for me because I got to be honest with you guys. There's not a lot of Batman on screen that I particularly enjoy, like George Clooney. Pass. I don't really even like Christian Bale as Batman. So a top 5 is a stretch for me. So I guess I'll do a 5. So number 5, I feel like this is just kind of obligatory, is Adam West. It's just
interesting.
It's so different than what we get nowadays, and obviously it's just a 1960s comedy, but it's iconic. He literally built his entire career around it. I don't necessarily want them to do that again, but it worked for the time. So that's number 5. Number 4, Michael Keaton. I think this is the best. This is the Batman in the 1989 movie Batman with Jack Nicholson as the Joker is probably the best Batman movie, I would say. Even though I loved the Batman, I think it's the best Batman. Number 3, for me, Robert Pattinson.
All right.
This I think this is a little bit of hopeful ranking that if they were able to do something this interesting and this good for the first movie, then the next iterations are going to be even better, and hopefully they can, if they need to keep the studio out, hey, we could be successful without your help. We showed it, then maybe better. Number 2, this is going to be pretty controversial. Ben Affleck. He is, to me, like the quintessential to your point, Bruce Wayne, Batman. This was the most interesting Bruce Wayne that I had seen on screen in live action, and he just fits it perfectly. I like I said earlier, I was pretty disappointed that they weren't going to give Ben Affleck his own Batman movie, because there's a lot of ground they have never covered, and they still have it now, which is an older Batman who's been around the block and now, but no, can't do it.
Well, Flashpoint, I think, is going to bring Michael Keaton back to do
probably
old Batman.
Yeah, even though we already got one with Ben, but I guess old Batman. And then the best Batman, this is not live action, but it's Kevin Conroy from the Batman the Animated Series. It is that show is so good, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is pitch perfect. It's fantastic.
It's a solid.
I thought I was going to be more controversial than I actually am here. I think you and I are more in alignment than I expected. Jen, what's yours?
All right. For number 5, I'm going to go with Michael Keaton. His 2 Batman movies just didn't have quite the same appeal to me. Like I was still pretty young when they came out. I didn't see them at a super formative age, but going back and watching them now, they hold up. They're fine. I like them. And Michael Keaton's a good Batman. So, and Bruce Wayne to an extent. Number 4 is Ben Affleck. I think he really just did a great job with both sides of that character. All of the reasons that Paul outlined just a minute ago. Number 3 is Robert Pattinson. I just really love him in this role, and I think that there is a lot of room for him to grow, both as an actor and in this character. I think he has the chops to take Batman / Bruce Wayne to some interesting places, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing where this goes. It is known that he's signed on for 3 movies, so this is the first one. We'll see if the other 2 come to fruition. Sometimes they don't, but please shut up and take my money. Number 2 for me is Christian Bale. I've already mentioned my deep and abiding love for the Nolan trilogy. And I think Christian Bale really pulled off the Bruce Wayne side of Batman while still keeping up the obsessive nature of being the Batman. I really, really enjoyed his portrayal. And I have to say, number 1 as Paul. Batman the Animated Series was my absolute jam when I was a kid. And it is absolutely the reason that I love the character of Batman as much as I do. So tip of the hat to Kevin Conroy for voicing him. He is my number 1 Batman.
Yeah. Man, I'm less controversial than I thought, actually. So my number 5 is Christian Bale. And although I really like the Dark Knight trilogy quite a bit, I think he's kind of a weird choice for both Batman and Bruce Wayne, like in a couple different ways. Like, and also the voice and everything else was just a little bit ridiculous.
Bad. Just say it's bad.
Pattinson did a similar thing in parts of this movie. He did a little bit. I'm vengeance, kind of like. He kind of did,
but they made fun of it. They did
make fun of it a bit, which is good. But Robert Pattinson is my number 4. I think Robert Pattinson could move up this list if I see him like be a better Bruce Wayne at some point, and generally, like if I see more from him, I think in Batman, I might like him better. Michael Keaton is my number 3, and it's because I think Michael Keaton actually does a really excellent job in both roles. I think he's really good as Batman. I think he's better even as Bruce Wayne in certain ways. And to a thing that we were talking about earlier, Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne is a weirdo. And like, he's so strange, and it's strange in a way that you go like, yeah, this guy is like off. Like there's something very weird about him that is kind of necessary to be, Batman. My number 2, Batfleck, man. Ben Affleck was one of these guys who, when the announcement was made, like everybody was super down on it, and including me. Like I thought it was probably not going to go very well, but he does a fantastic job both as Batman and as Bruce Wayne. And speaking of the Bruce Wayne side again, like he is suave and charming, and he passes perfectly in the world of sort of high society without you ever realizing or understanding that he's got this whole secret persona. And then yet the older Batman, I think sort of Dark Knight, Returns kind of Batman, like really works with Ben Affleck. So props to Ben Affleck. And of course, number 1, I mean, we're all in agreement. It's Kevin Conroy. I think there's no doubt. It's got to be Kevin Conroy. And I mean, a lot of that, it's hard, right? Like he's just doing the voice. So, you could say that this is maybe not quite fair, but as we had talked about before we gave our rankings, it would be like discounting Mark Hamill as the Joker just because he's only the voice actor for the Joker. And I feel like that would be totally unfair. I think he's similarly a great candidate for the best Joker that's ever, done the role. So, Kevin Conroy. Here we are.